Around 9000 BCE, a remarkable change began to unfold in the Levant. It was during a few centuries of cold weather that two plants, wheat and barley, flourished. The people living in this region noticed their potential and began cultivating these grasses into larger fields. This shift wasn't just about plants. It marked the beginning of a new way of life. At the same time, people began domesticating animals like sheep and goats and learning to herd cattle. This combination of farming and herding created a culture vastly different from their ancestors, who relied on hunting and gathering. As these early communities adapted to this new lifestyle, their rituals and social roles evolved. Men and women took on different tasks, and families started forming clans, which became the backbone of their society. With clans came leaders, or chieftains, who worked alongside ritual specialists to manage the complexities of village life. By 8000 BCE, networks of these agro-pastoral villages began to spread from the highlands of the Levant to the upland regions above the Euphrates River. Eventually, this way of life extended northward into the Balkans, creating an interconnected web of communities. These villages laid the foundation for a more organized and structured society, one that would influence human civilization for centuries. As these village communities expanded, they discovered the value of certain natural resources. One commodity, obsidian, became highly sought after. This sharp, black volcanic rock was perfect for making tools like blades for sickles, which significantly sped up the harvesting of crops. However, obsidian was rare and could only be found in the mountains of Anatolia. A remarkable settlement emerged to meet this demand, Catal Hüyük. Located near modern-day Konya, Turkey, this city dates back to around 7400 BCE. By the 3rd millennium BCE, its population had grown to about 8,000 people. Catal Hüyük was built in a fertile valley with access to a river and a nearby lake, although these water sources have since dried up. Archaeological findings reveal only a small part of this once thriving city, which stretched across the slopes of a hill. What made Catal Hüyük unique was its architecture. The city consisted of tightly packed, rectangular, flat-roofed houses that formed a single continuous mass. There were no streets or alleys. Instead, people moved across rooftops and entered their homes through openings in the roof using ladders. The walls of these houses were made of mud bricks, reinforced with massive oak posts, and each house had its own walls, having double layers separating each dwelling. Light entered through small, high windows. Inside the homes, the main living spaces were well designed. Each house had a large central room, about 5 by 6 meters in size, connected to smaller storage rooms. These rooms featured raised benches, ovens, and storage bins. Walls were plastered and often decorated with beautiful artwork, including hunting scenes, textile patterns, and landscapes. Animal horns, especially those of cattle, were mounted on the walls as part of the decoration. Unlike many later cities, Catal Hüyük did not have a central communal temple or sacred space. Instead, spiritual practices were centered in individual homes. Each house contained a shrine, with walls adorned with bull's horns. The dead were buried beneath the floors of these homes, and their bones were incorporated into the shrines. Sometimes, over generations, houses became more like clan ancestor shrines than living spaces. The principal deity of Catal Hüyük was a mother goddess. Figurines of her were found throughout the settlement, symbolizing fertility and regeneration. One particularly striking figurine depicts a seated woman giving birth, sitting on a chair with lion-shaped armrests. This worship of the mother goddess was widespread in European and Mediterranean societies during the Late Stone Age and Early Bronze Age. Catal Hüyük wasn't the only city of its kind. It was part of a larger zone of urban development that stretched from Jericho in modern-day Israel to Tel Aswad in Syria and Susa in Iran. Each of these cities had unique advantages. Jericho, for example, was likely the largest city in the region and had access to local mines. The city of Susa benefited from a network of nearby villages in the Zagros Mountains, which provided metals and other resources. The Karun River connected Susa to the wider world, supporting trade and agriculture in the fertile valley. Together, these cities and villages formed a vast network that exchanged goods, ideas, and innovations. Catal Hüyük's role as a key supplier of obsidian linked it to this larger system, making it an essential hub in the early days of human urbanization. This interconnected world of villages and cities marked the beginning of a new chapter in human history, shaping the foundations of civilization as we know it.